Sam Bridges, now you're just being absolutely ludicrous to the point where I don't even know if I want to keep talking to you. He goes, well, you're saying that people can be gullible for believing detractors, but there's the argument your chat is gullible for believing you. Yes, when someone watches a person who's a content creator and they like that person, they tend to trust them. You could say that's gullible, or you could say that's giving them the benefit of the doubt, or you could say that's learning to trust them from a series of life experiences where they know that person is being truthful. Like, you have no point, Sam Bridges. You're trying to make me look bad. You're failing miserably. So my suggestion to you would be give up before you get your ass kicked out of the chat for good, because you're being a complete asshole tonight. You're so stupid. God. Do you not understand how a fucking stream works? I guess not. Here, let me explain how this works. Let me tell you step by step about streamers and everything. Fuck you. Jesus, you're stupid.
Chopping it with Mittens, joking about his name is so fly. Mittens, cause he whipping, don't you get it, but that stove's hot, hot. Now let this be a lesson, professing. He handling and hitting his possession. Ooh, what you cooking, Scalding hot beats, was blow up before it's cooking. Ooh, I know you're looking true. I'm out attacking with this beat, I'm a lady man. I'm really trying to date it out. What's the number trying to call out? What about my team? Wood, shout it, don't get loud down.
Oh, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP NEWS Second Edition. I am your host. And let's go ahead and get right into it. Hopefully you guys have your Snortbucks ready, because that is a thing, right? So hopefully you guys are enjoying that. And let's see here. What do we have on the agenda today? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take you guys back, if I may, to, let's see here. Here we go. July 20th of 2014. We're with LD. DSP tries it, admitting defeat and not throwing in the towel to get a job. Should be should be interesting, to say the very least. This right here is actually one of a few different times that Phil has been in a pretty bad spot. Now, this is right after the move of him and Panda leaving the East Coast to go to the West, and we said this is July, so this is probably right around the time too that he's probably trying to reach out to John to get John to see if he can get him back into the content. So we're in a very interesting, this should be a very interesting headspace given this period of time, I should say, because I don't know exactly when LD put all of that together, but this should be a pretty interesting time period to see what Phil was thinking, what he was going through. And I think you're going to hear, just like I said, a lot of desperation, because if you guys are following the lore when it comes, the build up to the John and Howard response, Phil was basically nagging John on a month-to-month basis, if probably even closer together than that, on when can we do some content, when can we do some content, when can we do some content, because Phil needed John. He needed John badly. And the thing is it really comes back down to him and John should have really established something, something solidified, something solid before he moved. And honestly, a lot of that was going to have to revolve around money, and Phil don't like paying his taxes, so why would he pay his best friend, right? It's a thing. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and go through this. Should be interesting. Like I said, hopefully you guys are doing well. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for, thank you to everybody who's been supporting Paul's book. The link will be down in the description. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, expect the John and Howard response is probably going to be, I want to do that soon. I'm going to mirror the video first so you guys can actually hear the video in its entirety. And truthfully, that should be a video that should be mirrored, you know what I'm saying, to be honest. And then I'll eventually do my actual thing, and we're going to actually cut it up, you know what I'm saying. We're going to serve some of that bacon over there with that. So that's something to look forward to. Like I said, probably going to go over some some of his old Street Fighter matches. That might be something to look forward to. I was thinking about doing some Call of Duty Blackout stuff over here on some of his content as well. And I'll leave his Modern Warfare stuff on the main channel once I'm able to go back to that. So we'll see. We'll see. Also, I am a little bit more caught up on the situation with Phil and his bankruptcy. I mean, I'll probably make a video for the main channel because that shouldn't have any problems, I hope. But just giving my response. But I mean, so what? I don't really like. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Like, I don't. If he did win, right? Well, he didn't win. Like, he's gonna get most of his credit discharged, but he's not gonna get all of it. He's gonna have to still pay up, and he's gonna be in a shitty spot for like a decade. Okay, cool. That's a decade to laugh at him. That's a decade of watching other content creators come up and laugh at him. It's the cycle keeps going, to be honest with you. And all of us are just part of that cycle. None of us were going to be the end all be all. So I don't understand why there's really so much disappointment. I mean, I understand that people are mad that he's not getting his up and comings. Don't get me wrong. And I'll address that in that video when I do it. But like I said, we're all supposed to be just sitting back and laughing at it anyway, to be honest. That's just my particular opinion on it. I don't know, I missed the majority of that, you know what I'm saying? I only talked about it a little bit towards the beginning, and then I ended up falling into some problems with the main channel, so I couldn't report on the rest of it. But, I mean, it doesn't affect me whatsoever. It doesn't affect any of us. You know what I mean? Whether you were reporting on it day by day or you weren't, it doesn't, so what? You were just working with the information that was given to you. But the whole thing about the thing I find that was interesting, I'll say this real quick and then we'll move on to the video, was this talk about or seeing a lot of it actually, people from other locale communities coming over and kind of shitting on us because we jumped the gun, or they feel like we jumped the gun, or whatever the case may be. I'm kind of surprised by that, but I'm not going to say anything because whatever, everybody's entitled to their opinion, so be it. It isn't like egg hasn't been on their face with their respected locales at one time or another. So that is what that is. And this whole thing about their detractors running around here pissed off and all this, where is that? I haven't seen any of that on Twitter yet, and I haven't seen any of that on Kiwi Farms yet. I see some people, not a bunch, I've seen some people assuming that's what's going on, but I don't actually see it. I don't see any detractors running around here saying the sky is falling and shit. So I don't understand what any of that's about. It is what it is, I guess, you know what I'm saying? To see so many people, I will say this though, that I found that was interesting. To see so many people who last week were shitting on Phil and now this week calling him God and saying that Phil's finally won the detractors over. Now granted, a lot of it's probably sarcasm, but some of them are going next level with that shit. I mean, it is what it is. It's the internet, to be honest with you. If you're a detractor, you should take this as a learning lesson that maybe some of the people who cheer the most on your streams or who yelled the loudest and whatnot in your comment section, maybe some of them aren't as loyal as you thought, or maybe some of them aren't as committed to you as they thought. And that's actually sarcasm though. But what it really reminds me of, to be honest, is what happened with the Vic Mignogna situation and with Nick Rekieta. You know what I mean? Remember when they lost that first case or got dismissed or whatever the case may be, and a lot of people turned on Nick. You know what I mean? And we're like, oh, you told us we were going to win and this, that, and the third. I mean, he can't predict all that shit. You know what I'm saying? He can't. No one can, really. And that's kind of what this is. And the thing is the very people who were yelling and screaming at Nick after Vic lost that first case and then they went into the appeals were the same people back on his stream like a week later saying, yeah, Nick, I'm glad I'm here. It is what it is. So my advice to anybody who feels a certain type of way about that is don't feel upset by that. People turn and whatnot, and then people turn right back around. It's not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. If you let something like that bother you, then you're taking this too seriously, and then you're no different than they are. So I wouldn't sweat it, to be honest. It is what it is. That's my initial thoughts on it. Like I said, I'll do a short video on it just to give my opinion, but at least and see it, and after I get a chance to see more of it. But essentially, for anybody who's asking, that's my initial thoughts. Cool. It's 10 more years to laugh at him. You know what I'm saying? So what? He didn't walk away from this unscathed. So, you know what I'm saying? It is what it was. Now, granted, it would have been funnier to watch him try to stream from his house, from his mama's house, I should say. But, I mean, so what? He gets to keep his dilapidated piggy palace for another decade. Good for him. As soon as he gets his credit back on back in order, he'll fuck it up again. He's a natural born fuck up. And as he gets older, he's gonna feel more and more entitled. So that's my thoughts on that. Anyway, so that's my situation with that. No biggie. As far as I'm concerned, that shit I don't lose no sleep either which way. I mean, I don't lose no sleep either which way. I do this because it's fun. And more importantly, a lot of what he does doesn't make no sense to me, and I don't understand it. So that makes it interesting to me. I don't have any other incentives to doing this shit. So it is what it is. And whether you like it or not, that doesn't stop me from doing it. So if you don't like what I do, that's cool. There's other detractors out there to watch. And I wish you the best of luck moving forward. Outside of that, that doesn't stop me. That doesn't stop me a second. Because then that means that that means I must have been doing this from some type of ulterior motive if I feel the need that I have to stop because a bunch of people online said so. Sorry, that's not the stilo, at least not for me anyway. But that's the situation with that, ladies and gentlemen. So like I said, I'll address that on the main channel when that time comes up. But for now, let's get into the funnies because that's why you guys are here. Hopefully you got your Snortbucks because that's gonna be important. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News Second Edition. I'll see you guys in a few.
And it don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rock and it don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rock and it don't stop. I'm just a nerd. Hey, and it don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rock and it don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rock and it don't stop. I'm just a nerd shouting. Hey, I'm just a nerd shouting. Hey, I'm just a nerd shouting. Street Fighter 2, that is my dude. Dark Cloud 2, that is the new. I like RPGs and everything. Metal Gear Solid, man, that's my swing. Hey.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello and welcome to the pre-stream. Nice super late pre-stream. I'm sorry everyone, I gotta apologize again. And I hope that you know that I am sincere here with these apologies because, as you know, ever since the move across the country to the state of Washington, it's been quite a bumpy road here in regards to my schedule and getting stuff on time and getting stuff working and being consistent, and today is just no exception. Once again, we have more problems today, and I kind of blame myself because I decided to take on a project that I thought I could handle because, unfortunately I foolishly, at the age of 32, still believed the internet.
We'll address that in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with LD, and remember, all the videos that I use will be down in the description. We're here with LD. DSP tries it, admitting defeat and not throwing in the towel to get a job. This is from July 20th of 2014. You already know the slogan. Let's get it.
Which I know at the age of 32 you shouldn't believe anything you read on the internet, yet I did. And when I took on a playthrough of Knights of the Old Republic. And shame on me, there's no one else that deserves blame but me, because I wanted to play Knights of the Old Republic 1, okay, and I really, I've heard so much about this game that it's a great game. It's a great, BioWare was already known for Baldur's Gate, but this game kind of brought them into, on the map for they'll be able to make multiple series and stuff, epic RPGs. And I said, I want to take it on, I want to play it. And I did a little bit of research, and I found out that there are tons of problems with capturing this game, but I still took it on anyway. And unfortunately here, ladies and gentlemen, today on pre-stream, I'm here to admit that I've been defeated. I throw in the towel. I've been defeated by Knights of the Old Republic on PC. And of course, what I mean by that, excuse me, what I mean by that is, unfortunately, for those of you who don't know, Knights of the Old Republic on PC, first of all, came out in 2003, I believe. So the game is 11 years old. And let's face it, unlike consoles, you know, you buy a PS2 that was made in 2003, you pop a PS2 disc into the PS2, and you boot it, it's gonna work, right? You buy a PS3, and you go to the PSN and you download a PS1 or PS2 game that's on there, it's gotta work. On PC, there's no guarantee that when you go to play something that's old, even if you pay for it, that it's going to work. And unfortunately, this is the problem that I'm having with Knights of the Old Republic, is I got it off of Steam for $10, and it just does not agree with any kind of capture software at all. So in that regard, I'm not, you know, what I'm trying to say is if you just want to play the game on your PC, you absolutely can. Unfortunately, that...
I think he could have made it work. I think he would have had to work around... There's some workarounds. Obviously, there's workarounds for everything, especially when it comes to PC. And he would have had to make some adjustments to his settings and so on and so forth. He would have to work at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really want to make older games work, you'd have to work at it. And Phil's never been one to do so. Matter of fact, this whole admitting defeat thing is actually mirrors when he started direct capture back in that was what, 2013. He was damn near ready to throw in the towel on that too. He was damn near ready to throw in the towel on that too, because when Chris and Teo and some other people, John as well, were trying to get this all together and help him out, he's saying it's too complicated, and you guys said it was going to be super easy, and it wasn't going to be this big of an issue, but it looks like it's going to require way more, and this is unfair, and this is why direct capture isn't good, because it's not accessible or user friendly to everybody, and this, that, and the third. Now keep in mind, Phil's an idiot, so you know. But even then, direct capture is still idiot-proof, but still, Phil's an idiot, a massive idiot. And he almost gave up on direct capture early on. If it wasn't for Chris, Teo, and John, he wouldn't have done it. And the only reason why he was doing direct capture at that time is because he was desperate. Because he was so behind the 8 ball on YouTube and as a content creator in general, that if he didn't do it, he would have faded into oblivion, which the irony of that is, he still did. He still did. So when you hear me say that Phil's a natural born failure, and his first instinct is to quit at the first sign of struggle or trouble at all, I'm not exaggerating. That's literally what he is. It's literally what he is. That's the reason why he plays video games for a living, because he believes that innately a video game should be easy because they're made for children. At least in his own head, he thinks that. And as games have evolved over the years and have gotten better and have gotten more challenging, how have you seen Phil react? You've seen him piss and complain. You've seen him bitch and moan. You know what I'm saying? You've seen him quit some games. You see him come up with all the excuses in the world on why he can't succeed. It's rather pathetic for somebody of his age. But that's what he is. And the thing is he thinks that he's representing gamers, when he does things like that, and he doesn't. Not at all. And he can't see it as, oh, maybe some of the stuff that I'm doing online makes gamers look bad. He doesn't see that, but that's exactly what he's doing. He is very much a small part in the much bigger concept of the stereotypes of gamers. That's why other gamers and content creators on YouTube have shit on him. You know what I mean? Because the ramifications of what he does is a lot bigger the scope is a lot larger, and the scales that are going to weigh against people eventually is going to be a much larger deficit than any of us are really giving it credit for. And he don't care. At the end of the day, all he wants to do is profit off of it. This was doing content on YouTube, or at least doing gaming content, raw and uncut, right? No bullshit, was the easy way out. And that's the reason why he does it. And to say that he's successful doing it is no. Because he has a house in Washington, not even a house, a condo in Washington, that who knows what state of his condo's in, because it's not like he takes care of it. He doesn't take care of anything in it. So why would I expect him to be able to actually take care of the condo itself? Does that make him successful? No. Is because he has to beg and plead for $100,000 a year? Does that make him successful? No. He has nothing at the end of the day. And especially for the next 10 years, he's going to be working that off to somebody else's benefit. And he has to do that. There is no more squirming out of it once it's all said and done. He's going to have to pay what he owe. You know what I mean? And this should be, and at the end of the day, when it comes to that, we shouldn't be looking at, well, who won and who lost. The question that should be, did Phil actually learn anything? Did DSP Darksydephil come to the understanding that you're not invincible, you're not smarter than everybody, and you are a failure because look at what you're resorted to? If anybody out there is praising Phil because he was able to successfully apply for bankruptcy, you need to reevaluate some of this. You need to reevaluate some shit. That's not success. That's not success if you think that's the case. Successfully getting bankruptcy, if that right there is success, I want to know what their definition of failure is. That's what I want to know. I want to know what Phil's definition of fucking failure is. Because Phil is, at least so it seems, is gloating at the fact that he got his little Chapter 7. Good for him. But that don't make you successful filing for bankruptcy and foreclosure, ass clown. Not even close. But get a win any way you can, I guess.
It's not what I'm doing. As you know, I record, stream, and share my gameplay experiences with the world. And unfortunately, it just isn't working. Earlier this week, I used a mod to make the game widescreen in 1080p, and I was able to use my capture software to capture the game. The only problems I had were, number one, I couldn't record the cutscenes. They just would not render, so you could not see them in the footage. Number two, I was getting flickering, and I don't know what was causing the flickering. I was just getting non-stop flickering, and it was incredibly annoying, and everyone was complaining, you know, we don't know if we want to continue to watch this playthrough if, number one, you're going to have no cutscenes, and number two, you're going to have flickering. And I tried this week to find solutions. Some people said they thought they had found solutions. I tried their solutions. They did not work for me. I don't know. This is the problem with PC. There's really no explanation. It could be one of a million things. It could be that the game doesn't agree with my GPU. The game doesn't agree with this or that. And there's no real way to figure out what it is. And I'm not blaming PC. Keep in mind, I'm trying to play a game that's 11 years old. Alright? This isn't an HD remake of the game. This is me trying to boot a game that's 11 years old with mods and get it to work.
So now you guys, if you guys didn't see it before, you guys see why he has such an issue with PCs and with PC in general. Despite the fact that he used to be a PC gamer and he used to build them back in the day, and he used to run Unreal 2 tournaments, you know what I'm saying, in his basement or his mama's basement or whatever. But you see why he gravitates to HD remixes on console all the fucking time. You see why he literally throws money at these publishers and at these game companies for a game that he's already bought 3 or 4 times. Because that's the special type of idiot he is. And speaking of which, doesn't he owe a playthrough of like SpongeBob Bikini Bottom or some shit, and he's waiting for the HD remix, or not HD remix, sorry, the HD remake for that? I bet you anything he's going to get them to pay for that again, and that's already been paid for. That's already owed. And I guarantee you he's going to go through and make them pay for it again. Because he's just enough of an ass clown to do so. And keep that in mind. Fun times to be had, ladies and gentlemen. Did you guys really want all this to end? It's been terrible. Oh.
Streaming software. It was a Hail Mary swing for the fences to begin with for me to even think that I could do this project, okay? So unfortunately, I'm here to announce that, as of now, the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic playthrough that began on PC is defunct, okay? For now. And when I say that, I mean for now, because here's the bottom line. I'm not going to let myself be defeated by a...
You just admitted defeat. Now you're saying you're not going to be defeated? You're a fucking idiot. Secondly, he should have tested all of that before he actually started the playthrough. But Phil never does that. He thinks that, oh, the setup and everything like that leading up to the actual playthrough is actually part of the content, and that's why he records all that dumb shit instead of taking 15 minutes to test all of that shit out beforehand. Go ahead and record yourself playing a little bit of the game beforehand, just to make sure, or go through the tutorials or whatever, just to make sure that, you know, your recording is up to snuff. Because this is his business, right? This is what he does for a living, right? This is how, you know what I'm saying, he greases his, whatever it is that Panda was making at that time, right? He didn't even have enough respect to do that. And he really was, and the thing is despite how choppy it might be and how, you know, the cutscenes aren't available, if no one had said anything, he would have kept playing it like that. He didn't give a fuck. He didn't give a fuck until people started complaining and people started bitching to him. Then all of a sudden it became an issue. If not, if no one would have made a stink about it, he would have never said anything. He'd have kept shitting in their living room floors and wouldn't have taken a second thought to it. But because people had to finally grew some balls and said something, then it became an issue. And then we have to start complaining. And then we got to start the blame game. Fun stuff to be had.
Setback, absolutely not. So for those of you, well, many of you may be aware that Knights of the Old Republic was ported to the Xbox, not the Xbox One, not the Xbox 360, but the original Xbox, as a console game. And what I'm looking to do is, in the future, get that game. It's actually available on Xbox Live on the Xbox 360. So you can play the emulated version of the Xbox game on Xbox 360, and I will more than likely be doing that in the future, and that I won't have any problems capturing. Of course, keep in mind, running on the original Xbox, the graphics are going to be much less of a resolution. It's not going to be a high frame rate. It's going to probably be, you know, not look visually as good, but the good news is we will have cutscenes, which are critical to the game.
So the two problems that we had playing it on PC, right, is that the cutscenes weren't coming through and we had visual problems, right? I'm gonna go ahead and go to the Xbox 360 because he can buy it emulated there and play it, but he's not gonna be able to capture it at a very good quality. It's probably not going to be as bad as it is on PC, but then again, if he actually checked his settings or messed around with his settings on PC, it could have been better. But tomato. It's not gonna. The visuals won't be as bad as it is on PC, but that's no big deal because at least you guys get the cutscenes. But if the visuals are bad, then what's the point of the cutscenes? Because remember, he said that he couldn't capture the cutscenes at all, which is basically just the dialogue that helps move the story along. The visuals are still going to be garbage, but at least you guys can hear the audio, or you can hear the cutscenes. So at the end of the day, we're going from a really, really, really shitty product to now having a really, really shitty product. And he's still okay with peddling this to these people. That's what this is. This is what it's come down to. This is the laws of Goutopia. And yet again, this is all just a quick fix. You know what I'm saying? This is just a quick fix to an issue that he really should spend more time trying to work out. But because he can't find quick solutions online, or no one's been able to present him one yet, we're going to just go ahead and half-ass it as we always were going to. And so continues to write all these checks that his ass can't cash, just like an IRL. Just like why his financial situation is the way it is, and why it always will be. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, since we're talking about that financial thing, this isn't the first time Phil has been in massive debt. Okay? This is the second time. Because he was in massive debt before he started YouTube, and YouTube pulled him out of it. Then, while he was doing YouTube, he put himself in even more debt, and now the bankruptcy is going to pull him out of that. So what do you think is going to happen the third time? And please believe, there will more than likely be a third time. DSP News?
So, there you have it. You know, that's the bottom line, and I apologize for that. I really do. Simply because, you know, it's a shame that I had a game that, you know, again, hyped for years. Everyone, Phil, you gotta play this. You missed out one of the best RPGs ever. Now is the perfect time because the bottom line is this week coming up, we have a lot coming up, including the Dark Souls 2 DLC, the next episode of The Walking Dead Season 2, and we've got a new Oddworld game. So we've got 3 things that we're going to be doing this next week that are pretty big projects. But outside of this next week, literally, I shit you not, the entire month of August, until the end of August, when finally a ton of games start coming out, is empty. There's nothing going on at all. Nothing. So, really, when you think about it, this is the perfect time for me to be doing downtime stuff, and that's why I wanted to start playing this game now. If you could start it now, continue it into the month of August, because it is a longish game. People said it's about 20 hours or more. But unfortunately, I was defeated. However, as I said, I will probably play the game on Xbox, and that may be coming in the month of August. Speaking of which, just so you guys know, I did a gaming schedule update. I finally did it last night, okay? And you guys are definitely going to want to check this out, because this basically cumulatively is going to tell you the games that I'm really looking forward to playing for the rest of the year, as long as they have solid release dates. And I haven't done this since April, so, you know, after 3 months, especially after E3, there's a much better picture of what was coming out this year and when. And I updated that calendar, and you're definitely going to want to check that out, because the month of October this year is absolutely insane. Insane. Absolutely insane. Seriously. There's 1 week where there's 6 games coming out on the same day, all of which that I want to play. And it's just out of control. I don't know how I'm going to keep up in the month of October. It's definitely going to spill into the month of November and December with all the amount of games that are coming out. There's no way I'll be able to stay on top of all those playthroughs. So
now it's funny because we shit on shills, right? We shit on shills because they get games early. They get review copies, they get influencer copies, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? And they're able to play games ahead of time. Well, think about it from an influencer standpoint for a minute. What would you do if you were an influencer and you were given 6 games that all come out? You have 6 games coming out in the same month, all on the same day. And you have all 6 of these companies respectfully being like, hey, we'd like for you to play our game. And we're willing to give you the game, 12, 15 days out. So, you know, you can get your audience kind of excited about it, and maybe they'll go out and purchase it. I want you to think about that for a minute. So you have an influencer who gets, 6 games 15 days early and is going to try to play them so they can fulfill their, their contractual obligation, or because obviously you're going to get paid if you're going to get sponsored, at least in some way, shape, or form, to get these games out, right? You know what I mean? To do all this promotion. That's really what it all is, just promotion. Then you got Darksydephil, who's not paid to do it, who shits on people who gets copies early, who has to shell out his own money, or is going to have to shell out his own money to play all 6 of these games, and is going to fail more than likely, but is going to play all 6 of these games in one day, and then is mad that there's going to be overlap for the next 2 months, more than likely. When in actuality, no one's telling you have to play all of those games. Not at once anyway. Which, let's go back to these influencers. Same concept. Influencers, people who do review copies and shit, unless you're writing for like a magazine or something, you don't actually have the time or the luxury to do a whole goddamn playthrough before you have to write an article giving your review on it or your first impressions. Hence the reason why first impression videos are so popular. Hence the reason why this idiot should have jumped on that back in the day. And who knows where those could have gone if he had done so, because he was too much of an idiot. And he's still following all the big content creators, despite the fact that he says he's different and unique from them, is one of the reasons why he failed. You know what I mean? That's the reason why these people who get early copies don't have time to play through the whole game, because they have multiple ones they need. They have multiple games they need to go through. So play each one of them a little bit, come up to a basic opinion, and then there you go. Or doing it on live stream, people can automatically see, they see what you see. And as you're playing, obviously you can go through and explain what you're thinking and how this works and how that works. He doesn't understand, even now, he doesn't understand the value of an influencer or someone who gets review copies or influencer copies or whatever the case may be, despite the fact that he lives up to this day, up to the minute I'm recording this, he literally lives off of their opinions. That's what he bases buying his games off of now. Back in the day, back when this was going on in 2014 and before, He could afford to go out and buy every single game that he wanted to buy. Now he can't afford it because he's a broke bitch and he mismanaged his money. So now he has no choice but to rely on other people, those same people that he calls shills, by the way. That same practice that he says needs to be abolished. He relies on that to determine what games he should play and what he shouldn't. You see the hypocrisy in that? Do you see the hypocrisy in it? And then on top of that, as I was saying earlier, he had so many opportunities to be ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? Or at least be on the ground floor. Especially when it came to first impressions, given the amount of games he was playing at that time. He could have literally put first impression videos out mere hours after the game came out and been ahead of all that. Those videos are really popular now. I assume they've been really popular for the last couple of years. He could have been at the ground floor for that. But you don't have no imagination, which is weird for someone who literally takes every portion of his content and tries to figure out multiple ways to monetize it. He never thought about doing first impression videos or first look videos. It amazes me that he lacked the imagination to do that. Absolutely amazing. And for someone who almost every idea he's ever came up with, he took from somebody else. You would think, because I'm sure someone was trying to do stuff like that back in the day, you would think he would have picked up on that trend. He don't edit. All he has to do is cut out, I don't know, 30 minutes, anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes of the beginning of each playthrough, and then talk over it on what he initially likes and doesn't like so far. It's just that easy. Oh well. Yet again, just a plethora of missed opportunities and wasted potential.
I am very, very excited for this year's hardcore gaming season, but the whole month of August looks incredibly slow. It looks like there's almost nothing going on until the end of August, and that being said, I think it's the perfect time for me to try to do some projects that people have asked for a long time that I skipped because I was working on other stuff. So for example,
let's talk about that a little bit. This whole thing about when people are asking for a certain game to come out, and Phil usually bitching and complaining about how he doesn't know what to play next or there's nothing good to play. When people ask him, hey, this game is coming out, play that. No, I'm not going to play it. Oh, I'm not going to have time to play it. Oh, I don't have anything to... Yeah, I don't have time to play it. Well, why don't you have any time to play it, Phil? You just said you don't know what game to play next and there's nothing good out. Oh, well, then all of a sudden a game pops in his head that he's going to play. He just doesn't ever want to play that. And then he would rather sit on this recommendation for like a year or like 8 months and then be like, well, you guys have been asking for this for like the last like year or so, so I'll go ahead and play it then. And then he gets mad that the playthroughs don't do well. The game is dead. Let's walk that back. let's reword that. The game doesn't have their interest anymore. Just like Phil with that Wolverine action figure. When he wanted the first edition and he couldn't get it, because it got sold out because his parents were fucking stupid and they didn't buy it, and then they gave him the second edition a year later, and he didn't care about it so much because his interest had moved on, because he had gotten old, he was older now, and he had moved on to other things, and other things had piqued his interest. Same thing with some of these these playthroughs, not old playthroughs, but some of these older playthroughs that he does. Why are you going to try to shovel games into people's faces that they asked for a year ago? Yeah, there's probably still going to be a few people who are going to want it, but the overall masses aren't going to want to see that. But you have nothing else to play, and now you're desperate. And you remember when all these people yelled at you and called you an asshole for not playing this new game, and that's why you won't do it. Like Code Veronica, for example. No, not Code Veronica. Code Vein. Well, he's never going to play that, I don't think. No, actually, I think he will play it eventually. But for the last, since the game came out, people have been nagging him, please play it, please play it. You have that one guy on his streams who keeps wanting him to play The Quiet Man. Please play it, please play it, please play it. And he never plays it. He keeps brushing that shit off. I don't have time for it. Oh, I love my wife. Whatever dumb shit that pops up in his head. But eventually, he's going to be so desperate, and and money's going to get real tight eventually, that, okay, well, hey guys, you guys have been asking for Code Veronica, I'll be willing to play that if you guys want to, and he's not going to catch no interest off of it, because no one's going to give a fuck. There's going to be another waifu game out that's going to rattle his pork rinds, and they're going to want to see him play that. And that's been something that Phil's done for years. For years, he skips games or he puts games off that are in the highest demand amongst his audience. he'll go ahead and completely shit on those and throw those to the side, and then like a year or two later try to go to and play. That doesn't make you the king of retro. And that certainly doesn't make you someone who, I'm listening to the people. No, you play what you want to play. And a lot of the games that you play, either more often than not, the games aren't bad. You're just really bad at it. And after a while, no one wants to sit there and watch a bad playthrough. And he don't get it. So then he gets mad at them when they're not supporting the playthrough. And then when he's, like I said, when he gets desperate, like 6 or 8 months later, then he'll pick a random game out of the mini games that he's been asked to play, and there'll be no interest for it. And then he gets mad and says, I'm doing what you guys want me to do, and why aren't you guys supporting? Because you're a year too goddamn late, idiot. That's why. This shit is not brain surgery. And this is why he failed. This is one of the reasons why we're here, but this is why he failed. Because he doesn't value people. He doesn't value anybody. He thinks his time is the priority over everybody else's. And because of that, he's conducted his air quote business the way he has. And that's why it failed. If you have to file for foreclosure or bankruptcy, you didn't succeed at anything. You succeeded at being a failure, I should say. Unless you got hit with like some traumatic circumstance like medical bills or a death in the family, that outside of those type of situations. But in Phil's particular situation, when it comes to him failing at video games, I don't give a shit about how much money he made failing at video games. It doesn't mean anything if he had to go into foreclosure and bankruptcy. It doesn't mean anything if he had to beg kids and fucking wheelchair symbols for tax money. I don't give a shit about how successful you think he is when he had to beg these kids yet again for tax money and used it to move a girlfriend in and used it to buy a cat and then convinced those same people to pay him $2,200 or $2,100 to showcase that cat. That's not success. Granted, yes, it's taking advantage of very stupid people, absolutely, but that's not success. And it was all short-lived because it was all short-termed. Jesus Christ, if he was going to be at least a good con man, you would have a long con. You would have something that's going to be profitable over a period of time. Even the vest streak isn't even a long con. It's him dressing up like a Muppet, and people like seeing him dress up like a Muppet. They like seeing the shaved monkey up there dressed up looking stupid. And he knows that. He knew that from the beginning. That's why he was always like, well, this vest streak's been going on for like 20 times now, or we're on a 20 vest streak, and but it could end at any time. He was literally putting it into their heads that he kind of wishfully was thinking to have it, to end. Because he knew he was out there embarrassing himself. He still is. He knew he was embarrassing himself. But see, the money though. The money is been more reliable than it's ever been coming off of that vest streak. And now he can't give it up. So now, how he likes to call other people thoughts, how he likes to call other people shills, how he says other people have to dress up like Muppets and clowns and have to dye their hair and all that dumb shit, he's doing the exact same thing. Just because those people have enough confidence to dye their hair a certain color to basically represent themselves and how they want to, present themselves, that's a personal choice. That's outside of content creation. Phil can't see that. And if that's not your stilo, that's not your stilo. Fair enough. And you have the right to your opinion on it. But to sit there and say, oh, they only do that because they're content creators and that's how they make their money to draw on kids. How the fuck would you know when you don't watch them? That's an opinion that you've come up to. So how are you going to get mad when people laugh at you when you're wearing a fucking dirty ass sweaty vest and you're putting on your little gunner glasses or you're putting on your stupid little hat? What makes you any different from them, allegedly? What makes you any different from them? If they're whores, then you're a slut. Trying to work your way to being a whore. If it's funny how all those shills and influencers can get early copies or get review copies or can get sponsored. And he likes shitting on people who get all those things. But he's bitched to us in the past about not being able to get sponsorship because of the detractors. Not being able to do review copies on games because of the detractors. Then he does all of those things. Why can't we call him a shill? Why can't we call him a whore? Why can't we call him a slut? If he can go ahead and do that to all those other people, oh, because he really needs the money? That right there is enough? He's willing to sell out his morals and his scruples for money? Because what? What he's doing is failing, right? Hence the reason why he begs too. Oh, other content creators don't beg, but Phil begs because he has to. He has no choice. This is all he can do, guy. That's all he has, guy. Something to think about.
There's a hardcore group of fans who've been clamoring for a few games for a while, including games like Jak 2, Devil May Cry 3, okay? And I know that those games I've had for a while, and a lot of people can get, why aren't you playing them? Why aren't you playing them? I think it may be finally the perfect time during the summer to get those out of the way. And I don't know, they probably won't get a ton of views, right? But it's okay. There's nothing really else to do right now. Let's face it.
That's another telltale sign and a very interesting trait that Phil has. You got a couple of games there, especially like Jak 2 and Devil May Cry, that you should have played when those games came out, because people were looking to watch those playthroughs and didn't do it because, if I had to guess, this is just one guess. I'm not saying this is his tell-all be-all, but one of my guesses is he saw other people playing it, and he saw them getting massive views, and he saw them really kind of hammering through the game because, they're real gamers, and they're probably real fans of those series. And, they're smarter and more talented. He saw other people playing those games and hammering through that bitch, and this is going to branch out a little bit, so we're going to go into the branching formula in a bit. On one thought, he's like, well, there's no way my playthroughs are going to stand up to theirs, because they're these people are really devoted to it. So that's one thing. There's no way I'm going to be able to outshine these people, and all the detractors and trolls and haters and critics going to do are going to laugh at me and then compare me to other people, which is going to get them even more popular off my name. This is what Phil's thinking. The other branching theory is not exactly a Theo theory or anything. Big ups to Theo. But the other branching theory is, well, I'll just watch other people's playthroughs and I'll see what they do, and I'll basically mirror their shit, so when I play, I'll be able to hammer it out over like a couple of weeks during the summer, and it'll look like I know what I'm doing. You want some evidence to kind of back that up? I can do that. So in this year, actually, in 2020, our current year of Gout, Phil has admitted that Catherine watches other people's playthroughs. He has also admitted that he sits down and watches other people's playthroughs too, on certain games. Some of those certain games that he ended up playing a little while after announcing that. This right here isn't anything new. I think he's been doing that for a while. I think he just lacks the motor skills and any type of deductive or critical thinking, that he can't exactly emulate what they do, and when he comes into certain situations, he just can't figure it out unless he hammers his head against the wall like 15 or 20 times. So for Phil, even back then, I think he had an incentive to skip a lot of those games that he thought were going to be challenging, or that were white hot popular in air quotes, because he knew he wasn't going to be able to match up to his competition or his peers. And more importantly, this was a good way for him. I don't know if you want to call it cheating. One could look at it that way, but it's a way of being able to learn from their mistakes and then emulate that, and then be able to incorporate that into his playthrough to make himself look good. The problem is that, excuse me, he's not able to do that. So he still failed multiple times. But like I said, that's just my theory on it. Not exactly a Theo theory, but that's my theory on it.
In addition to that, I may, like I said, check out Knights of the Old Republic on Xbox. There may be a few other projects that I want to do as well during the summer. I had an idea for a project that I wanted to do. I don't know if I did it, if anyone would care. So that's why I'm wondering if I should wait. But I don't know. It's in the back of my head, and I'm thinking I may do it, but I may not. We'll have to see how things progress come the month of August. Here with me in the new home and everything, and how busy I am in getting caught up with stuff, okay? So, there's definitely going to be, several weeks of old stuff, and I apologize. I don't, Phil, and this is funny, every time this happens, this happened last year, it happened the year before. The summer comes, there's no game releases, and people complain, why is Phil playing this shitty old game? He should be playing new games. It's like, there's no new games. There are no new games to play. What?
No, there's just no new games he wants to play. And this is why and how the cycle keeps going. Keep skipping games right? Keep skipping the new releases that are out there because you don't think it means anything to you, or he doesn't like it, right? And remember, he knows what's best for his audience. Skip those games and whatnot. Play other games that he skipped the year prior, and add the new games that are coming out that he doesn't want to play. Add them to the list to replace it, and it's just an ongoing cycle of just not really expired, but it's an ongoing cycle of just recycled skip bullshit over and over and over again. And I think he thinks he's smart by doing this because, whenever we get into the downtimes of the year, I'll always have something to play. But in actuality, the people who probably wanted him to play it aren't going to be around, at least not all of them. They're not all going to be around for that when he finally gets around to it. You know what I'm saying? And this is yet again one of Phil's major problems as a gamer on YouTube, is that you don't necessarily play games on your time. You play it when that shit's in demand. And that's one thing that Phil definitely doesn't understand, supply and demand. Now, he is not someone like a Rad Brad or a Maximilian who they have to skip certain games because they're already playing games. But people are so invested in them and the quality of their content that they'll wait. You know what I'm saying? Phil isn't like that. Phil always wanted people to be invested in him, and you know what the content is. Garbage. And nobody has to wait around for garbage. Nobody's obligated to do that. And that's what fucks him. And that's why he suffers.
Do you want me to play? I can't make the games, I play what's out. So that's what's going on in the month of August, until finally the last week or two where we're going to hit the game releases. And as soon as that last week of August hits, that's it. It's literally nonstop every week, multiple good releases that are going to take us through August, September, October, November to the end of the year. And it's going to be hardcore, insane, non-stop marathon gaming, 1080p, 60 frames per second. It's going to be a ton of fun. And I'm very happy that you guys are here and along for the ride with me. I know it's a bumpy road we're traveling on to get to this stage where we're not having these kinds of issues. And I thank you for being patient. I know there's a lot of people who wanted to see Knights of the Old Republic continue today. And again, I apologize, but that's reality. And one thing that I do want to say about Knights of the Old Republic, now people are wondering, well, what's going to happen if Phil does continue, right? What's he going to do? Is he going to just start the whole game over? Is he going to play off camera and then continue from where? No, I will start the game over. It just makes sense to start the game over because at this point, I can make a better class anyway, and I could see all the cutscenes that I missed. It wouldn't make any sense for me to go back and just skip the first 3 hours of gameplay and resume. You know what I mean? It would play 3 hours off camera when I could be, starting a full playthrough. So it'll basically just be starting over. So again, apologies.
Yeah, let me not play 3 hours of a shitty playthrough with a less shittier playthrough when I could just start all over and profit from you guys all over again. Why would he turn that down? It's a shame, too, that he wasn't brave enough to just say that.
To everyone, I know you may be upset. You have good reason to be upset if you were into the playthrough, but it's going on hiatus for now. This week we're going to be busy with new projects, but come the week after, we may be continuing on, okay? Now, before we get started, because today, as you can see, we are going to be doing gameplay. It's going to be Resident Evil 2, which I am very much getting into. I've done 2 sessions of it now, and I'm really liking the game. And I'm not sucking too hard at it, which is another thing that I think a lot of people are surprised at. It is pretty difficult, I'm not going to lie. There's very limited ammo, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm playing it blind. I did own this game before, but I only played it for about 90 minutes when I was younger, and I got frustrated and said, fuck this game, and never went back to it. Because it is, in my opinion, it actually is more difficult than Resident Evil 1. I went, back then I just went and played Street Fighter and said, fuck this. Today I'm actually, I'm getting into it.
So taking the easy way out, even back then, Mr. I'm a lifelong gamer. And what kid says, oh yeah, I played it for about 90 minutes and then I dropped it? Sure.
And I'm really liking it. From what people are saying, I'm about halfway into Leon's story, okay? So the good news is, because we are playing Resident Evil 2 on stream today, we're going to get about 3 hours of gameplay in. It means that I'm going to get further into the game, And, you know, I'm going to be also playing this on second stream tomorrow, and now it looks like I'll also be playing it on Monday. Once I beat Leon's campaign, I may play Claire's. Everyone says, you're going to play with Claire, because she has a campaign that unlocks. I think it's called Claire B, because it's like the second half of the game. And the answer is, yeah, I probably will be doing that as well. So, there you have it. That's what you can expect today. Resident Evil 2 on stream tomorrow. Ultra Street Fighter 4 on first stream. Then the weekend preview in Resident Evil 2. And then, of course, Monday, more Resident Evil 2. Trying to finish up everything. Okay? So there you have it. That's the explanation of how everything's going on. And again, I apologize. Some people on the stream chat are saying, you're only going to be playing for 3 hours? Well, I was supposed to start over an hour ago. And I couldn't because Knights of the Old Republic didn't work. And I've already explained today I'm only doing one stream because unlike the way we used to do it, remember when Leanna did not live with me, when she lived in another state, I would stream every single day, 2 streams, until she visited, and then when she visited, I wouldn't do anything. I would have no streaming at all. Instead of doing that, we're going to spread it out, so once a week at least, we can have some time to do stuff together. So today is that day. I'm doing this first gameplay stream, and then after I finish this gameplay stream, she and I are going to go out and go do some shopping, go out to dinner, and do stuff together. So it's kind of like almost our date day, you know what I mean?
Wait, so keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this idiot makes his own schedule. And even back then, he was working literally what it sounds like. He was streaming or doing gameplay 6.5 days and giving only Panda a half day. And that's it? And he thought that was going to sustain his relationship? He's a perpetual failure in everything he does. Now, I do remember when he started doing, I don't think it was in his pre-streams, it was like in his weekend previews. He was talking about, I'm going to take a full day off, you know, so I can spend it with Panda and this, that, and the third, so we can actually have a full day with each other. And I'll only do, I think he said I think those were on Sundays, I think. And I think that the only thing that he would do on Sunday would be weekend preview, which didn't take him long. Unless he had a lot to bitch about. But yet again, he makes his own schedule. He could literally have 2 days off and spend those days with her. It sounds to me like he really didn't want to spend any time with her unless he had to. Which, to be even more honest, it kind of explains why the situation is the way it is with Kat now. Outside of the fact that Phil is a creature of habit, which he is, it also comes down to the fact that maybe he doesn't like Catherine a whole lot. So he spends the least amount of time with her possible. She's off 2 days a week. Well, 3 days a week, I think. Because I think she works, Thursday through Sunday? And they only spend, Tuesday with each other? And that's it? So, he could spend a whole nother day with her that has nothing to do with running errands or any of that shit. I mean, just sitting at home and relaxing. And he don't want to do that. He literally is just going to try to, just like what he's doing here with Panda. Oh, well, we have to run all these errands and all this, so that's our day we'll spend with each other because I need you to go around with me and do all these errands anyway. Well, and you can just consider that us spending time with each other. We're not actually going to sit around and chill or actually do something meaningful. This is shit that we actually have to do, and bitch, you might as well come with me. Catherine's the exact same way. So you can't tell me that this dude knows shit about sustaining a relationship whatsoever, when in actuality, he never even laid down the groundwork to establish one. These women are only there to serve a purpose, and that's it. They have no more value than that, outside of what they can do. Wow.
So it's going to be different, but it's going to eventually become better. Eventually, keep in mind on Saturdays, Rambo and I are probably going to be doing Smart Guys and our new show, whatever we end up naming it.
And then he's going to be mad, and then he's going to be butthurt about it when they leave him. And then he just brought up John and all that shit, but that stuff fell through because John was still working on his own shit and getting his life together. So, wow, what an idiot.
And that'll probably end up being our streaming for the day, and then I'll go out and do stuff with Leanna that day. So, really what it comes down to is that weekends are going to be lighter on new content, but it's going to be a great opportunity for you to catch up on stuff that maybe you didn't see during the week. So you can watch the live streams all week, the content with me and Rambo on Saturday, probably some Street Fighter every Sunday, we can preview and maybe a little bit of new gameplay, but you can catch up on all the stuff you didn't see on YouTube on the weekends. That's kind of how I'm thinking it's going to work. Okay? Alright, so there you go. Again, apologies for starting so late. Didn't intend it. And hopefully this will, once we get the bugs worked out, this won't be happening too much in the future. Just that right now we're still in this transitional phase. And it's going to be probably a while, I'll be honest, a few more weeks of going through this until we finally get a set schedule and we get everything working. And, John Rambo finally will be available to do stuff. Because right now Rambo is so busy working on Schnozman and Hole Punch that he's not even available to do Smart Guys or anything. And quite honestly, I haven't even watched any wrestling. Because I knew we weren't doing Smart Guys, I said, why am I going to watch wrestling, right?
No, that doesn't make any sense at all. The reason why Smart Guys is a thing is you got two people who are wrestling fans reporting on wrestling. Or at least have an interest in it. You exposed here that you really don't give a shit about it, right? And you only care when you can have John there to profit off of. On top of that, playing off of John's knowledge and information and just giving your opinion on that. That's essentially what all this is. And John actually called that out in the John and Howard response. Because when, in one of the many times that Phil reached out to him, asked him when we're going to do some content, he was like, hey, let me know when you want to start doing Smart Guys again, and I'll start watching wrestling again. This is probably right around that same time. And John's like, well, why'd you stop? Like, it's obvious that you're not really a fan of this. You don't really like this. You just can make money off of it. He proves it right here. He proves it right here. Wow, that's sad. Which actually only reestablishes, a Theo. Well, it's not exactly a Theo theory that I have. That the only reason why he's invested in WWE now is because he's just trying to relive the time that he had with John. That's it. It's not even that he actually gives a shit about what's going on. He's just going through the motions. And maybe, in some delusional, pathetic sort of way, he might be holding out that one day John will return to him. You know what I mean? Because John still keeps up with wrestling, I would assume. At least in some bit. Hopefully more than WWE. I think that's all Phil gives a shit about is WWE. So, I don't know. Something to think about.
So there you go. I will eventually catch up, and I'm sure there's so much going on with wrestling and I haven't been following that it's going to be out of control. Alright everyone, so I say let's stop gabbing. Let's jump over to Resident Evil 2. I know this is impromptu and many of you weren't planning on seeing this today, but it makes sense. It's good to put more time into it, so maybe we can get through the entire game by the end of Monday. We'll have to see. Okay? Alright, let's end the pre-stream and get started with Resident Evil 2. Very good.
Alright guys, so that's the end of that one. Just gonna move this here. Alright. Oh, that was interesting. That was definitely telling. So that right there really hums back or beckons back to what John was saying in him and Howard's video. To be honest, like, he was lost. He was fucking lost. Anyway, let's save that for final thoughts. Give me a second to finish straightening all this up, and then we'll reconvene for final thoughts. Holy shit.
Hey yo, I just want to say shout out to my red bike. It got stolen about a year ago, and I think about you every day. But now I got a blue bike, and it's not the same, but it's a new life, a new journey. So rest in pedals, red bike, I love you. I like to bask in the tropics with a flask in my pocket. If you acting no brolic, I'll start laughing and mocking like a charismatic parrot that is a comic. Now I'm feeling like the shit, cause I'm rapping with fine words. Loose off
Alright, so, alright, final thoughts on that. He didn't have to throw in the towel for Star Wars. I think really what it came down to is if he had taken 15, 20 minutes, even a half hour if he had to really work through his settings and actually look up some information, he probably could have made it work for PC. He's just lazy and stupid, and it came back to bite him in the ass, as it should have, to be honest. As it pertains, or look and see if he could play it on console first. I think what happened was it was cheaper on Steam than it was on Xbox, if I had to guess. Oh shit. Anyway, so there's that. As it pertains to his content, when the first couple months back, his first couple months in Washington, he needed John. He needed John desperately. I don't think anybody can argue that. He needed John desperately. He had a lot hinging on John, not only for the playthroughs, but for smart guys and all that shit. Because I think he saw that his views were tanking, and he had already made a bunch of promises, so to speak, that John was going to be in the content, that he needed John to get to work right away. And John was like, nah, man, I've got other objectives. I've got other obligations and shit, and they're bigger than you. Don't worry, man. You're the lucky one. You're the one in the... You are the lucky one. You're the one in the million. You're the exception to the rules. You can carry the day. Remember, Phil, one-man show, right? Right. Even though John had actually been there since the beginning. John had been there from the very beginning. But it was a one-man show, though. Phil was the exception to the rules. He didn't build that shit by himself. John was there, too. But whatever. And so, the moment that Phil is actually stuck in Washington with Panda by himself... He's struggling. He is absolutely struggling. And as you heard towards the end with John, he was hoping that he'd get John in there. And then he exposed himself like a fucking idiot, saying, "Oh, well, let me know let me know about Smart Guy so I can start watching wrestling again." Well, then what are you going to be able to add to that segment if you're not watching? If you're not watching WWE, then what are you going to add to the segment? Oh, you just want to react to it, right? That fluff content that has no value to it, that's low effort, right? So, you're seeing a lot of the building blocks, ladies and gentlemen, on why he failed. It's amusing. I don't feel remotely bad about any of that shit. I think it's hilarious that he failed the way he did. But we're gonna keep going. You're gonna see more of his failure, and you're gonna have more to laugh at, because that's what this is about. It's about the funnies. And at the end of the day, as I had said previously, he's a failure. Period. Everything that Phil Burnell, DSP, Darksydephil, Dark Geppetto has touched, he's failed at. This is no different. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. That's all I can really tell you for now. Like I said, I'll make a video for the main channel and whatnot. I'll give you guys my thoughts, and that'll be like my first. It should be my first time going back over there. Unless any of my other content has actually gone up, then it'll be different. But I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. Alright guys, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll see you guys for the next one, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. This is DSP News Second Edition. Take care of yourselves, guys. And don't forget to support your local Snortbucks, because the best part of waking up is Snortbucks in your cup. Oh, I love that. Later, guys.
Chasing rum with the juice of a plum in a singing mood and drinking booze like a pump. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one. Chasing rum with the juice of a plum in a singing mood and drinking booze like a pump. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one. I wanna live in Bolivia, be oblivious. I'm sick of always having to deal with these idiots. The ignorance is ubiquitous and it's hideous. When I get lucky, that's when I'm the wittiest. When people don't leave me alone, that's the shittiest. When people leave their phone at home, that's the prettiest. Going on a hike shouldn't be considered hippie shit. It's okay to spend some days away from your affiliates. Mother Nature's where I'm planting my seed. Do a dance in the breeze on the branch of a tree. I reside in my mind, that's the land of the free. I got the world in my palm, you should hand it to me. I can't copy and steal cause I got art etiquette. Sometimes I think that everyone's my arch nemesis. I've come to the conclusion my bike is my best friend. My worst enemies tend to be dead ends. I'm in the sun chasing rum with the juice of a plum in a singing mood. The drinking booze like a bomb. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one. Chasing rum with the juice of a plum. In the singing mood, the drinking booze like a bomb. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one.